So for today's movie review, I'll be reviewing the 1981 fantasy film Excalibur, a movie that was directed, produced, and co-written by John Barrowman. You know, the same guy that directed movies such as Deliverance and Zardoz. But anywho, when this movie first came out, the movie achieved moderate box office success while receiving mixed reviews. Although, over time, Excalibur has become one of the quintessential best movies about King Arthur. So, this begs the question, is Excalibur a good movie about King Arthur? As for the plot of the movie, it's a movie about King Arthur and Knights of the Round Table. What else is there to say? It's either you know what the legend of King Arthur is about, or you don't. But anywho, in terms of what I liked about this movie does a really good job of retelling the whole King Arthur legend within a 2.5 hour runtime. Also, let's talk about the budget of this movie, because it's magnificent. Because when you look at the costume designs, you can tell that they were going for a realistic look. Because when you look at a lot of fantasy films after this, they have a tendency to make the armor look stylistic, but with some practical use, or make it more straight up stylistic. This here, it's meant to be realistic, and it definitely fits the bill. And the set designs from the castles are just amazing to stare at. And the music to this movie is really good. And I also love the use of classical music like Or Fortuna. And this movie has what perhaps is my favorite depiction of Merlin. Because to me, when most people think of Merlin, they think of him as like this mentor figure to King Arthur. This incarnation of the character, even though he is a mentor towards King Arthur, he also acts as both a father figure and a really good friend to King Arthur as well. And this King Arthur is also really comical. Not in the same vein as the Merlin you see in Sword in the Stone, but he definitely has his own sense of humor. And this version of Merlin is just awesome. Like, if I had to describe him with a quote that Merlin says, "I appear as a dream to my friends, but I appear as a nightmare to others." That is a good way of describing Merlin in a nutshell. And there's never a dull moment in this film. And it does take the time to show what each character is going through in this movie. And I also love the lighting in this movie, especially at parts during like the battle scenes where occasionally you see like red light. I thought that's a nice touch. In terms of what I disliked about the movie, even though this movie does a really good job of retelling the whole King Arthur legend in a set amount of time, I feel like there's some bits to this movie that are a bit fast-paced, like the big one being the first time King Arthur meets Lancelot, because from the start of the movie up to that point, this movie has really good pacing. And then when King Arthur, pulls out the sword and then, becomes a knight, all of a sudden it's like, okay, flash forward like several years later, it's pretty much, King Arthur, we encounter a knight that's on a bridge, he's pretty good at fighting. And I'm like, I feel like there could have been more build up to Lancelot. Maybe like, have a couple knights fight him first, then have a strangler meet King Arthur and then relay that message. But no, it's pretty much, okay, King Arthur just became a knight, then all of a sudden, it's the fight with Lancelot. And also, I don't really like the way this movie depicts Guenevere and the Lady of the Lake, because here are these two women who are a big part of the King Arthur legend, because when you think of Guenevere, it's like, okay, not only is she the queen to King Arthur, but the part I don't like about her depiction in this movie is she's just depicted as the main reason why Camelot fell to ruin in the first place. Granted, yes, in the legend, it does happen, for sure, but that's all they do with this character is, we're going to depict that aspect of the character, because in the actual legend itself, not only does she, become the great downfall of Camelot, she also contributes a lot to Camelot as well. And also, the Lady of the Lake barely appears in this movie. Hell, you don't ever even see her. You only see, her hand. That's it. And this is a character that has a huge part in the story, and we barely see her as it is. And also, I feel like this movie could have used a little bit more magic in some places here and there, but this movie's trying to be a bit more of a realistic medieval story as opposed to a more fantasy-based story. And also, the final fight between King Arthur and his demented son Mordred is really anticlimactic, because I was expecting this all-out epic climax between these two warriors, and then the actual fight occurs. It's just like, really? That's it? It's really disappointing. So for my final verdict of Excalibur, I do believe that this movie does a good job of retelling the whole Arthurian legend and has a decent production value. However, I believe that certain characters and plot points could have been fleshed out a bit more. Overall, Excalibur is a decent movie about the King Arthur legend, but if you really want to watch a good film or show about the King Arthur legend, I recommend watching the 1998 Merlin miniseries, because it does a much better job of retelling the whole King Arthur legend. And before I give my final rating, what did everyone else have to say about Excalibur? Looks like the movie got generally good reception. So, for my final rating of Excalibur, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. So, what's your favorite movie or TV show based upon King Arthur? And see you later.